started, and I'm going to stay far away from the mic. Hello? All righty. I have item number 8. I'm going to call that ready. Councilor Thompson.
Madam President, I have items 9 through 11. We have Chief Sear to speak to those issues if there's any questions. Otherwise, those items are ready.
Thank you.
For the labor agreement, number 11, can we just have the cost per
Chief.
Contractual item from?
Chief Mons?
I don't think it needs to be, I think it's personnel who has to provide.
So I can't hear you.
The information that you provided for all the other labor agreements, just describing the total cost of the different clauses of the labor agreement, can you also provide for this one?
I've got it. I'll make copies for everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question on 10 for the training. Is it just our recruits that are being trained, or will there be individuals from other municipalities?
Your turn.
Chief, this is relative to Darren Carroll speaking, teaching defensive tactics.
Okay, what's the question?
Yeah, it's are we just training our recruits, or will there be other?
Just our recruits.
Just ours. There won't be any other municipalities sending their officers to be trained at all or anything like that?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Okay.
This is for our basic academy.
Yep.
And during our basic academy, we do train folks from other areas, and yes, they will be a part of it.
Okay. Again, do we do any training? I know a lot of people come to us, but do we send our recruits or officers for training in other, places, to the county or to other towns or villages? I guess that's, I mean, this is something that constantly sort of comes up where people are coming in, and I guess just how are we reimbursed in some way for it?
Most of the time we're not, because we don't have a system in place where we can receive payment for our training, but we're doing it anyway. And when we provide training, when we provide the type of training where it doesn't matter how many people are in the room, that the training is going to cost the same amount anyway, then we invite others in, because we don't necessarily lose anything from that.
All right.
But it would be wise to put a system in place so that when we are offering training, and there's more training that we can offer that we can benefit from it financially. I think I understand where you're going with this. So we should have a system in place for that.
I just know that this is not just this specific training.
Sure.
We've had this conversation several times over the last few years that I've been on the council where, there's I still can't believe we haven't come up with something to be able to get compensated for allowing other people to train with us, and
If the situation were in reverse, we'd have to pay for the training. So you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
All right, that's all I got.
All set? Thank you. Councilor Rudd.
I have items 12 through 17. Is there anybody who would like to describe 12?
Good afternoon, councilors. I'm David Clifford with the Assessment Department. Item number 12 is approval of a lease to a employee of the Water Department. This is a residence that's located on the Westcott Reservoir. The current tenant, also a Water Department employee, is retiring. That's my understanding. And they want to rent it to another Water Department employee.
So, every time the tenant changes, we have to redo the legislation?
Yes, because they're named specifically in
It is, okay. That's
somewhere. Yep.
Figured I'd just ask.
Okay.
Is there a method to how you estimate the rent? Or
Well, we discount the rent
Right,
typically
figured.
because the person is on site in case there's some sort of a issue with the reservoir. They can attend to it quickly.
Any other questions on 12? 13? The agreement with the North Area Athletic Club.
Councilors, Dave Delvecchio, Commissioner of Finance.
Item 13 is an agreement with the North Area Athletic Club. Consistent with other delinquent sales of tax liens as Brownsfield property. The steering committee, property review committee, issued an RFP. There was one respondent, North Area Athletic Club, and Ray Rinaldi is here. He can speak to it better than I as to the intended use. But if you have any other questions.
Mr. Rinaldi, would you come up and just introduce the idea to us a little bit?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Charge me. Go ahead. You want me to look, I've been doing this probably a little over 60 years. So nothing I just started. But we have a club on 307 South Geddes Street. And the last 10 years since we've been there, okay, we have attracted hundreds and hundreds of kids. Now, these are kids at risk. These are not what I call the norm. You know, we have a son going to school, behaves himself, he goes down. These are kids that kicked out of school, probation, parole, or whatever excuse they use. I get them, and I get a lot of them. They come in anywhere from 8 years old and up. We can prove that within 3 weeks you could change your complete attitude. Boxing is not a sport you fool around with. I can make people laugh here in a minute. If you throw a football, you miss it, they boo you. In boxing, if you don't pay attention, you get hit. So you pay attention the first day on. And people laugh when I say this, but I said it 2 million times. The Ray said, put your hand here, you put it here, you get hit there. So 20 times you learn the lesson, and guess what you do? You hear somebody speak. The schools have told me this, that the teachers have got the kids to, answer questions, stuff like that. Parents have told me this. They wrote big articles about this type of training, education with boxing. But I'll tell you one serious thing that happened. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I got a phone call from New York City, and somebody wanted to come to Syracuse and interview me. I said, okay, if you want to fly like that, yes. 2 people came over, Japanese, okay? One spoke English, one did not. And I showed them the place, showed them the other place, took them around, spent the whole day with them. And finally I asked the question, I said, what are you coming here for? He said exactly what Mr. Rinaldi, we come to see your operation. Okay, we have same problem in Tokyo, Japan with the kids. And I said, this was my way of getting to these kids because they don't react to normalcy, okay? They don't react to that for a short time. In 3 weeks, we change attitudes. If you come over to my place there, you'll see all the pictures on the wall. We got 14 national champions. I go on and on with this forever. And we got a quick reaction to the way we treat those kids. The parents are called from the school, kids' misbehavior. They don't go to school. We take them in there, they're going to school, they're paying attention now. We want to get this bill so we can add on more programs. I've said this in here before, so I've just repeated myself. 5-year span, we had 6,200 kids in those 2 gyms. Okay? Now, do we save every single one? We're saving a lot more than anybody else is. We're saving a lot of them, okay? And we do this. And I got kids from 8 years old that come in, shake your hand, don't even know you. 10 years old, 12 years old, that anger is gone. Right away the anger is gone because you're physically sort of hitting each other. And here's something else that you bring up. They always ask about this respect nonsense, You don't respect it, well, boxing, they don't do that. 10-year-old kid to fight outside the street is one of his best friends in that gym. And that's where they stay. Now, I've probably got more kids going to college from my gym, I will bet their father's school has. Okay? Now I've got a little package I would like to get each of you, okay, and read it. All it is about other people that endorse me, and this building that I ran for, it needs a little work on it, but we got the help to do it. You got to remember, that building I have right now, Dominic Tazzone donated. Joe Scuderi put the building on the back, over 5,000 square feet. A lot of good people helping me, really helping, but nothing to do with the government. And it's a kind of program nobody else does. We care about the kids. We do everything with them. And you talk to these kids, better yet, don't talk to the kids, talk to the parents. And talk to the teachers, they'll tell you all this.
Mr. Rinaldi.
And we need that building next door to introduce more programs, okay? And then there's another crazy thought in my head, but we're gonna do it. There's a parking lot between the two buildings. And we're gonna put an addition on there where we got a big meeting room, because we're getting the parents that the school doesn't get. They'll come there, okay? And like I said before, I've done this a long time, and we've been very successful. So I pass out these papers. Can I do that now?
Yes. But before you leave, Mr. Rinaldi, to pass those out, can I ask you, what are your hours for the kids?
You got to remember all this. 3 to 5, okay, and 5 to 7. We got GED classes there, we got computer classes there, we got teachers that come in there, we have counselors come in here. Frank Fowler behind me, he's done everything helping us with this. Father Matthews, he might be here, he's another one that does this. The funny part is I got so many good people helping, I know why I'm here. They all want to help me, okay?
How many days, Mr. Rinaldi?
Pardon me?
How many days? How many days a week? Every day, 7 days.
See, I'm afraid to say anymore because you're going to ask me my age. And you say, oh, don't do it. I'm 54 years old, so I'm like.
So, Mr. Rinaldi, I'm familiar with your project, and I think it's a tremendous asset. Nice.
Chief, we'll take care of it.
We had many calls of good where people interviewed us, okay, for the same thing. And I go back just a few years that some big fellow with lots of money wanted to help all the kids. And I came up with this program. It was, I don't know, Colorado, I think it was. An idea come to me that even though I boxed, I was through all the nonsense in the beginning. It wasn't like today. You walk in like this and you walk out like that. And I thought about bringing this education to it, okay? And once I did that, they approved it, and everybody was for it. It wasn't like a street fight or bad people in there. It was a good thing for the kids because they do not become boxers. 1.5% of all the pros in the world, 1.5% of all the boxers in the world don't become professionals. So it really works. And if you look at that, that'll explain everything to me. I was going to say Father.
I've been called worse.
So, did Chief Fowler, you seem very enthusiastic. Do you want to say anything or just?
Just very quickly, it's when Ray makes a case for himself, he don't leave anything left on the table. I would just like to add that one of the toughest things to do in my line of business and in Ray's line of business is calculate or judge the things that we prevent. And we are constantly looking for folks in the community to step up and provide alternative for our young folks. This gentleman do it here every day and tirelessly. And I'm just here to stand in support of him because he's in support of me. And I think that anytime the community can invest in this gentleman and what he's doing on a daily basis, I think we should jump at that opportunity.
Yeah, hold on one second. Assemblyman Magnarelli, I see you standing in support also. Would you like to say anything?
Just to stand in support with Ray. I think everything's been said already except one thing. I've been supporting Ray through New York State for 2 decades, okay, for 2 decades. And part of this is a possibility of him becoming self-sufficient because of the other building. And that's helpful. I want to see the program continue because what he's doing is good. It's a good program, and anything you can do to help him would be appreciated.
Great. And then I know there's a couple of questions. Can we go Councilor Bay, Councilor Ryan, and then anybody else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Assemblyman, I'm Assemblyman Magnarelli. I'm assuming, this is a BOA, so I'm assuming that the state is providing some assistance with the brownfield. Has it been determined?
No. It has nothing to do with this project. It's just been member items that I've been able to obtain over the past 20 years, and Ray's always on my list because of what he does with the youth
Right.
in the city.
Right. No, I understand that.
But there's nothing specific on this project at all.
So then my question is, has it been determined how much the cleanup cost would be? Because it's listed as a brownfield. This is what I'm asking.
Sure.
For the city, okay, look, fellas, I'm one of normal people. I shoot very straight bowling. We get nothing from the city, okay? The mayors before the last one, they all helped us. We did well. We hit a tough time there where we lost some of our funding because the country lost it, okay? Bernardi and all the other ones, Walsh, all helped us. But on minor thing, we didn't get anything. Now, we have shows once a month. We raise our own money. In fact, if you remember, not too far back, we had a big fight come up with Figures Ali and Fraser. It was Jockey Francisco and me. And we did that fundraiser, we made a lot of money on it, but that's how we do it. The kids all want to help, they want to raise the money. But the city itself this time hasn't done it. Do we need help? Yes, but don't let it stop, man. We've been doing this 30 years at one building.
Yeah.
And we went up and down, I still got the kids.
I appreciate it. Stephanie, does anybody from MBD know what the potential cleanup costs would be on the property? Has there been any phase 1, phase 2 testing on this property? It's been determined a brownfield.
Well, it's a suspected brownfield. That's a great question. And to confirm that it's brownfield status, we would need to do testing that would allow trespassing onto the property. So unfortunately, until we have site control, it's difficult to ascertain the degree to which there are materials, if any, that are present. We just suspect because of its prior use that it may have contaminants on the property.
Right. Okay. And my pardon self. My question obviously is more so in support of one of the things we're cautious about is the purchase of a brownfield without knowing what the liability would be. Right. So the question is to assure that the support is there for the program if it's determined that there's brownfield costs, and especially if it turns out to be more than any of us expect.
No, that's a great question. So one of the things we've been working with Mr. Rinaldi and other people who've been interested in these types of properties is connecting with them with grants and other resources at the DEC and other places that would allow for cleanup once we know more. I think it's that weird chicken and the egg where without access to the property,
I understand that.
It's difficult to do all those borings and things to find out the degree to which there might be something underneath.
All right, appreciate it.
Councilor Ryan.
No liability. I'm part of the Golden Glove nationally. We have insurance and all that stuff that cover us all these years. And luckily, over all these years, we've had no problem. But we do have liability. We do have sometimes access to some of the people that want to help. That's how we survive. But it's the kind of program that you're not going to find anywhere. You're just not going to do. People are not going to come in and fight or anything like that. That's a unique group. People don't understand is why does the guy box? Why the heck you want to get hit? I can tell you why. Boxing attracts macho kids. They think they're tough. And boxing, the last place in the world, they want to be and act tough. They don't do that. So we don't have that trouble. But in 2-3 weeks, they understand the meaning of boxing, just a sport. And like I said before, the same kids they be fighting in the streets, they're friends now. And I got 5 stacks of books like this from letters, from the fighters, the ones that gone to college and made it. I can name them. Came from so-called gangs, they're like that, but out of them, I got them out of them. And
Thank you for all the stuff. I'm definitely going to stop by the club and see it firsthand because I have never actually gone. But Councilor Ryan, did you have a question as well?
My questions were answered. Just like to thank Mr. Rinaldi, Assemblyman Magnarelli, and Chief Fowler for their support.
Yep. Thank you. We appreciate all the information. Item number 14.
Councilors, item 14 is an ordinance that was approved last meeting. References in the ordinance are to Brownsfields. The references should be to the eminent domain proceeding, so the purpose of this amendment is just to correct that language in the ordinance.
Any questions? 15.
15, you can hold that if you prefer. I do need to follow up with the city clerk and provide an additional letter.
If I can get a new letter today, we can have it ready.
Okay, I don't know if we'll be ready because it's coordination with Mary Bosler and budget.
So
But it could be held. It's, if you'd like, I'll give you a quick update. When the city moved to the general ledger with the county, we have historical data with this particular company, with Xerox, and this particular software maintains all our historical accounting and purchase data that we need for historical reasons, for research, as well as to comply for federal tax purposes.
The reason we need a new letter is there's no ability to extend this contract, so it has to be a new contract, basically.
Yeah, so if we can get that today, we will. If not, you can hold it.
Okay.
You have time.
16.
Hello again. Item number 16 is a settlement of a tax certiorari proceeding, and I would assume that you'd want to go into executive session to get advice from council on that.
We can talk about that in executive session on Monday.
Okay, on Monday. Okay.
Monday. Always on Monday, I learned last time.
Okay. At your pleasure.
17.
Item number 17 is to retain an appraiser for a property.
You're saying it's better to do it now?
It's a former portion of Sanford Avenue. It's over near the duck pond, Webster's Pond. It's a piece of land that I believe the anglers who operate Webster's Pond are interested in acquiring.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you. Councilor Green.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 18 and 19. Just give us an overview of the program. And
Okay. Good afternoon, councilors. Lori Ayako, DPW Fiscal Officer. We use soup coat for our slurry unimproved streets. It's a coating that goes over any of our streets that don't have any curbs. We went to council in March for the $800,000 that we needed for soup coat, and we need more to cover the price that we had to do this year.
But Lori, let me ask you a question, because you keep referring to soup coat, and I didn't think that that had been determined because there was an issue with soup coat.
That, as far as I remember, that was a couple years ago when we ended up doing 2.
This past year.
This past year, when they went to bid? They went to bid in May, I think.
I know when it went to bid, it was going to bid to authorize the money, but it never said that we were going to bid to give it to soup coat.
When we first came in front of the council, we have to have the money in place before we can put the bid out to the public. And we put it out at $800,000. Soup coat was the only bidder.
And that's what we hear every year, Mary, no disrespect,
and
but I talked to Corey, and she said that they're looking at some different things because soup coat was given a direction 2 years ago, and that direction was never followed, so we're gonna keep on giving them our money and they just keep saying whatever?
No, I mean, when we sent the bid out, we had specific requirements for the MWBE, and they had to fulfill those requirements. And I believe Lamont Mitchell was in charge to make sure that they had the correct MWBE in process. I was not informed if they didn't.
And you, right, but we didn't ask, I'm not talking, MWB wasn't what was required.
Okay.
I think some of the other counselors can remember when we talked about a pilot, and we talked about them coming in, doing a training to get city folks able to be able to do the slurry.
That was something different.
That was not part of this
Yeah.
bid.
That was something different. Madam President, that was something different that you were talking about. I think it was talking about the crack sealing, I'm assuming,
No,
that pilot that you were. Okay. We can talk, we could talk.
Because I don't know, I'm speaking for Helen,
I
for
understand.
myself. I still have an issue with us continuing to give Soup Coat this money.
I understand. Can we talk afterwards, please?
I have a question just on the difference in cost. Is that because we did more streets or simply material?
In order for me to do the CIP, I have to do that in October and November, which is 6 months before the bid goes out, so I really have no idea how high their price is going to be or what their price per square yard is going to be. I have to go with what we did the previous year, and I add a percentage for an increase. It just was more than I had added.
Counselor, just to be clear, all these charges are charged back to the property owner on that street. We bond for it now, but then next year, the property owner is charged and refunds the bond.
So we didn't change the amount of streets we did, we just...
No.
Slurry is also a component of oil prices, so as oil prices go up, our price is going to go up.
All set?
I'll set Councilor Green.
Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Kearney.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 20, 21, and 22.
Good afternoon, Julie LaFave, Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. Number 20 is to accept a reimbursement from National Grid for them to plant 351 trees that specifically are for underneath lines that are low clearance. And 21 and 22 are both related to performances and sound for the annual tree lighting ceremony.
I'm going to call those ready unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Councilor Allen.
Thank you. I have items 23 through 41. Items 23, 24, and 25 have been on our agenda for a while now. Did you guys want to move forward with these?
Stephanie, do you have any updates from 25?
Good afternoon, Councilor. Stephanie Pasquale, I'm Commissioner, Neighborhood and Business Development. Unfortunately, no, it's the same notes from last week for 25, you said, right?
Yes.
24, I spoke to 24. I plan to hold it one last time and then not again.
And on 23, Councilor Kearney, did you need more information on that one?
No, 24, I'm okay with moving, but 23, I'm still going to hold.
I'm still holding 25 as well.
Okay. So there seems to be some confusion between Councilor Rudd and Kearney.
I'm going to hold 24.
It's in his district, so you guys want to talk about that afterwards?
I'm going to be honest, we've been holding it for several weeks, and we keep getting the same lip service that he's making progress. This isn't automatically, you know, there's still an avenue for this property owner to move on it, but clearly we've got to light a fire under him. So I'm fine.
The 24. 11, 13. So you guys are in agreement? Ready?
Sure.
All right. Any other questions?
20, everything else is ready?
No, not yet. I just wanted them to look at their ones that's in their particular districts to see if they had any questions on it.
It's a rental property, so there was not door-to-door outreach conducted for that property. So no, you would have it on here. It would be, if we did have one, we would have it on here for you, yes.
And I know, Stephanie, you said yesterday some of these are owner occupied. Were there ones where you have talked to the owners and they are like trying to fix the problem, or?
Sure. If I may summarize, there are 8 properties on this list that are we suspect are owner occupied, and we have communicated in some way, shape, or form with the owners since May 2017. So we've been working with these owners for more than a year on different strategies to rectify their delinquent taxes. And I will have you know that we had over 100 owner occupants start, and now we're down to about 28. You have some on this agenda and some on your next agenda, but we were able to assist more than 80, I believe, or about 70 owners with keeping their home. These are the ones that seem to be the hardest to rectify.
Okay. All right, so the rest of the items are ready.
I just had a quick one. 200 Maple,
Yes.
should we talk afterwards about that? or-
Well, that's on your agenda again. I'm glad you brought that up, Councilor Driscoll. Number 36, I believe, 200 Maple Street. There's an amendment to this legislation. Originally, we had asked for it to be sold for 151. You'll see in your book that we're requesting it be sold for 2,151, I believe. And that's to help pay for an environmental assessment that was done that the land bank is willing to reimburse the city for.
And regarding, do we have the results of the environmental study?
We do. I'd be happy to provide it with you. There was no, we knew there'd be asbestos in the property and lead paint, but there was no other contaminants found.
Great, good to know. Thank you.
Is this going to be sold with a package of other, I thought I had seen something in the past.
So this building, you'll notice there's 2 lots also. There's city-owned lots on your agenda that we're requesting to convey that are across the street from the property. And the plan is for the land bank to actually RFP this property for a plan to see what kind of development they could attract to that building, plus having those ancillary vacant lots.
So your items in the second district are okay to move.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're all set. So items 26 through 41.
I'm gonna hold 39.
39? Okay. Okay, so items 26 through 41 are all ready, except for item 39 we'll hold.
Thank you. Councilor Driscoll.
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank you, Madam President, and just a resolution to recognize the initiative by Heat Smart. They're doing a really great program, bringing renewable heating and cooling practices. Is anyone from the program here? Okay. Well, if anyone has any questions about it, it's a great program. I just wanted to recognize it.
Ask for co-sponsor.
Oh, would anybody be a co-sponsor on the bill, on the resolution?
I'll do it.
Yeah. Great.
All righty, and with that, it ends our session. I need a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.